Hi guys, it's Miss Lisa, and I'm out on the porch for Friday afternoon porch time, story time. It is a bright, nice summer day. It is not raining, yay! And today I have a book for you that I have been reading to classes, like the kids in my class, since I very first started teaching. And it's one of my favorites, and I had to order a new copy because the one I had got ripped and torn because kids loved reading it so much, so I got a new copy, and I'm excited to read it to you. It is called The Big Orange Splot, and it is by Daniel Pinkwater. This is Mr. Plumbean. He has a very big mustache. Mr. Plumbean lived on a street where all of the houses were the same. He liked it that way, and so did everybody else on Mr. Plumbean's street. This, they said, is a neat street. They would say that it's a neat street. Then, one day, a seagull was flying over Mr. Plumbean's house, and he was carrying a can of bright orange paint. Nobody really knew why. And he dropped the can, and no one knows why he did that either, right over Mr. Plumbean's house. And it made a big orange splot on Mr. Plumbean's house. Oh, too bad, everybody said. Mr. Plumbean is going to have to paint his house again. I suppose I will, said Mr. Plumbean. But he did not paint the house right away. He looked at the big orange splot for a long time, and then he went about his business. His neighbors got tired of seeing that big orange splot, and someone said, Mr. Plumbean, we really wish you'd get around to painting your house. Okay, said Mr. Plumbean. He got some blue paint and some white paint, and that night he got busy, and he painted at night because it was cooler. When the paint was gone, the roof was blue, the walls were white, and the big orange splot was still there. And then he got some more paint. He got red paint, yellow paint, green paint, and even some purple paint. In the morning, the other people on the street came out of their houses. Their houses were still all the same, but Mr. Plumbean's house was like a rainbow. It was like a jungle. It was like an explosion. There was a big orange splot. There were little orange spots. There were stripes. There were pictures of elephants and lions and pretty girls and steam shovels. The people said, Plumbean has popped his cork. He's flipped his wig, blown his stack, and dropped his stopper. And then they went away muttering, mutter, 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 mutter. That day, Mr. Plumbean bought carpenter's tools, and that night he built a tower on top of his roof, and he painted a clock tower on it. The next day, the people said, Plumbean has gushed his mush. He has lost his marbles, and he slipped his hawser. They decided that they would pretend not to notice. That very night, Mr. Plumbean got a truck full of green things. He planted palm trees, baobabs, thorn bushes, onions, and frangipani. And in the morning, he bought a hammock and an alligator. When the other people came out of their houses, they saw Mr. Plumbean swinging in a hammock between two palm trees. They saw an alligator lying in the grass, and Mr. Plumbean was drinking some lemonade. Whoopsie, skipped a page, hold on. Look at him there, he's got his lemonade and his alligator. Plumbean has gone too far. This used to be a neat street. Plumbean, what have you done to your house? The people shouted. My house is me, and I am it. My house is where I like to be, and it looks like all my dreams, said Mr. Plumbean. The people went away. They asked the man who lived next door to Mr. Plumbean to go and maybe have a little talk with him. Tell him that we all liked it here before he changed his house. Tell him that his house has to be the same as ours so we can go back to having a neat street. So the man went next door to see Mr. Plumbean that evening, and they sat under the palm trees drinking lemonade, and they were talking all night long. Look at that. Early the next morning, the man went out to get lumber and rope and nails and paint, and when the people came out of their houses, they saw a red and yellow ship next door to the house of Mr. Plumbean. "What have you done to your house?" they shouted at the man. "My house is me, and I am it. My house is where I like to be, and it looks like all my dreams," said the man. He had always loved ships. "He's just like Plumbean," the people said. "He's got bees in his bonnet, bats in his belfry, and knots in his noodle." Then, one by one, they all went individually to go see Mr. Plumbean. And they would sit under the palm trees and drink lemonade and talk about their dreams. And whenever anybody visited Mr. Plumbean's house, the very next day, that person would set about changing his or her own house into a house that looked like their dreams. A balloon, castle, another castle, Greek temple. Whenever a stranger came to the street of Mr. Plumbean and his neighbors, the stranger would say, "This is not a neat street." Then all the people would say, "Our street is us, and we are it. Our street is where we like to be, and it looks like all our dreams." The end. The Big Orange Splot. I hope you like that. I'm Miss Lisa, and I hope you enjoyed Porch Time Story Time. Have a very good weekend, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.